if you've got the basics, and this is something that goes across every single thing in the capsule wardrobe, if you love something, get it in a different color because it looks different, but it suits you and you love it. So every time you wear one of your pieces, then you put it back in your wardrobe like that. And by the end of 3 months, anything that's still that way, you need to get rid of.
If you've heard of the Longevity Bible Lifespan by Professor David Sinclair, you know that living well is more important than just living long. In fact, this show is dedicated to the science of beauty, wellness, and longevity. That's why I'm so thrilled to partner with Melrose Future Lab for Season 9 of the Ageless Radiance Club podcast. Future Lab is Australia's first supplement range focused on extending not just your lifespan, but your health span. Available exclusively at Chemist Warehouse, these affordable and science-backed supplements are the key to aging well. We're joined today by Claire Fabb, celebrated fashion strategist and style expert known for her ability to take the aspirational and make it attainable. As a prominent fashion commentator, Claire continues to drive innovation in fashion, strategic partnerships at The Iconic. Claire's passion for helping clients build an iconic capsule wardrobe with confidence is renowned in the industry, and she is a go-to expert on the topic. Claire was a speaker at the Ageless Radiance Club, and her segment, Building a Capsule Wardrobe, was one of the most talked about sessions of the day. Today, we discuss the power of investing in yourself through style choices, discovering your unique signature, and building a versatile wardrobe that adapts to different life moments. Claire shares her insights on circular fashion and conscious choices, as well as her own journey through breast cancer and what it taught her about resilience and self-expression through style. This was such a surprising and fun conversation on fashion, personal branding, and a modern approach to reinvigorating your wardrobe. This episode is in partnership with our friends at The Iconic. This is so good that I get to have you on the podcast. You were a standout feature of the Ageless Radiance Club event. People wanted to know so much more.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me today. I know the Ageless Radiant event was incredible. I can't even describe coming from a little idea that was, we were having a chat over a coffee at Bill's, and then to see it come to life was nothing short of extraordinary.
Do you know the thing that I loved about the conversation that we had up on stage, or rather you hosted for us, is that you gave us permission to consider style as part of our own personal signature rather than a frivolous afterthought. And in the concept and construct of agelessness and vibrancy and radiance, fashion and how we turn up in the world and the clothes that we wear are very much part of our ID. And to have you alongside doctors, scientists, experts in wellness, and to treat that aspect of a woman's ID in just as an important piece of the puzzle, I think really resonated with so many of the guests. And that's what I wanted to really explore in today's conversation, because you are really good at this and you've been doing this a very long time.
Oh, Bahar, look, thank you. Firstly, that's lovely of you to say. I have been doing it for a long time, but ultimately, I think what we all want to have and be is feel confident in ourselves at the end of the day. So everything that we talk about, everything we put in our mouth, the exercise we do, that's great. We are all striving to better ourselves. But fundamentally, I think what we wear is a big part of who we are. It builds that confidence, but it also is our personal brand. And I don't want to get into the marketing branding side of things, but at the end of the day, when you walk out of the door and you feel amazing because you look in the reflection and you like what you see, that it changes your mood. And so it's really significant that everyone should feel great about who they are, but also how they look. Doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter, none of it really matters. It's just about that confidence.
And it is a conversation about empowerment. I totally agree. And I think one of the things that we touched on that really hit a nerve at the event is that we sometimes need to rediscover our style through phases of our lives. And I think the beauty industry has done a beautiful job of reminding you that your skin is changing, the seasons have changed, lipstick shades have changed, the color in your nails should change. But the fashion industry sometimes at some point seems to stop speaking to women over 35. And so the guidance and the excitement around new styles, a constant rediscovery of our love for style, for fashion, for our personal ID, that seems to be reserved for a certain phase of our lives. And then somehow or another, a lot of people, and it may not be true, but a lot of people feel that they're left out of the conversation. And by by putting forward the concept of building a capsule wardrobe, I think that you gave everyone almost a shorthand to how to re-enter the conversation without feeling intimidated, without feeling like this is, the realm of only a certain body type or a certain age group or a certain budget. And I'm wondering if you could speak to the loss of sartorial identity because you've experienced it once in your life, and it was a really powerful story.
Okay, well, there's a lot to unpack in that, Bahar. I definitely feel like a capsule collection is kind of like your go-to. So when we're talking about capsule, I guess the definition is a small range of items in your wardrobe that can mix and match with each other, and then they set the foundations of what you can build your wardrobe upon. Yes, there are definitely phases in life that change, and I know that we were all joking about it, a room full of 40 plus women and the changes that everyone's going through at the moment. But fundamentally, fashion is there to feel inspired, to feel adorned. It's a really powerful kind of tool that you can use. And we definitely can lean into that and own that as we get older, and really identifying what your style identity is part of that. And the capsule collection is just one part. I think the story that you're referencing is around my recent experience of going through breast cancer. I have always been in fashion. I have loved fashion since the day I was born. I mean, I was in high school and got a job at Spree when I was 16, and it was like
Oh, that would have been a coveted job. That's
I was like, I just thought I thought I'd made it. So, so that's kind of where it started. I've always loved fashion. It's always come to me very naturally. I've always been really kind of inspired and I guess inspired and creative, and looking at, people watching is my favorite thing to do when I travel, and seeing what people are wearing, and, you know, identifying that kind of element. So in 2021, I had a really tough time. It was COVID, and a friend of mine had just been to the doctor, and she was like, "Oh, when was the last time you did a breast check, or, had a checkup?" And I was like, "Oh, actually, it has been a while." And so that night I went home and I found a lump on my breast. Anyway, it was anyone who has experienced cancer or has witnessed it firsthand, it's a process that once you get diagnosed, it happens very, very quickly. You're in for surgery, your treatment starts straight away. You've got a whole team of cancer, kind of like your cancer team that look after you and kind of accelerate you through this pretty traumatic process. So I unfortunately had quite an aggressive tumor, and I had to have chemotherapy. And during that period, I did get very, very sick, but I also lost my hair. And when we talk about identities, and this is what I was speaking about at the event, it really was a challenge, because first of all, you don't just lose your hair, you lose your eyebrows, you lose your eyelashes, you lose every skerrick of hair on your body. And it's pretty traumatic, and it happens very, very quickly. So for me, I pretty much lost my hair within 24 hours. So you go from feeling pretty ordinary, very ordinary from the chemotherapy, and then suddenly you look in the mirror and you do not recognize yourself. And that was really challenging for me, because I never really had to think about what I put on. Like I had that innate sense of, like, I know what suits me and I know what I like to wear, and I had my wardrobe full of clothes that I would just throw whatever on. But
and
no hair.
you had a huge following. And I introduced you at the beginning, but just to give context, Star by Yellow Button was one of the first and definitely one of the most important style blogs before, influencers were a thing. And then you were a fashion designer, so you've got your own brand. And now you're director at events and special partnerships at the Iconic, which is, arguably Australia's premier fashion destination. So you are fashion, and how you look and, how you turn up in the world was part of your ID. So it wasn't just a passive aspect or a passion. It's part of your identity in the world.
And that is the key word. I mean, I've never been, really vain and looked in the mirror and, but when I lost my hair, I actually did lose sense of self. And that
Yeah,
was
right. Yeah.
that was actually heartbreaking for me. I remember.
You look good though. I mean, you were rocking some great hair scarves. You were bold, you were beautiful, your skin looked fabulous. I don't know how you managed that. You looked gorgeous. But I can imagine it was almost like dress ups for you. You had to reinvent.
I had to reinvent, and to step out the door, like even just to have energy or to get dressed was a process. But it was really like, I mean, I that was a huge style challenge. Like you can get dressed, but it's actually when you don't have hair, it's really challenging. What do you wear? So I mean, yeah, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, and my girls who were young at that well, younger than they are now. They were 15 and 17. My eldest was going through HSC at the same time, so it wasn't great timing. But we kind of all lent into the scarf look and feel. So they would go off scurrying on the weekends with their friends, and then they'd come back and they would have gone to the markets and found some great scarves, and we'd play dress up. So it was a really nice way that we could connect and kind of, I guess, honor the whole kind of horrible journey that we're going through, but doing it with some fun.
I want to, I guess, I can't draw parallels, but I do want to honor the fact that in life there are other big moments. Certainly, cancer is the biggest moment. So please forgive me for stomping all over the topic. But I think another moment in life where women lose a sense of self sartorially definitely is post pregnancy. And it seems to really undo a lot of people and their ID and their sense of self because of the changes in their body, changes to their lifestyle, changes as to what they need to get out of a day and perform. That seems to be a time. And then the other time that I hear a lot from women is during perimenopause and postmenopause. Again, with body changes, with mood changes, with a shift in their ID. So, we've talked about illness, like a massive life-threatening illness. We've talked about a life phase, two life phases. And I'm wondering, when you are working with clients, either as a personal stylist or in the context of, the bigger picture at a brand like the Iconic, which has to identify trends and help their customers, I guess, navigate. What do you think is the thing that gives the empowerment back to women when it comes to fashion, so that they feel like they've got the thread again? They can participate in the conversation, they can enjoy it again, they get excited again.
Well, I mean, it comes back to confidence, like, and also that educational piece about understanding what is happening to your body. Because, yeah, of course, like you go through pregnancy and your body changes. You have a lifestyle change after you have a baby because maybe you're not working and suddenly you're at home all the time. And then when you go through perimenopause or menopause, I mean, one of the side effects is you put on weight. I mean, it just isn't fair. But the reality is that fashion is there where you can really enhance it and you can play it to your advantage. So with your different body shapes, you can play around with different kind of, like tailoring is a beautiful way that you can cinch a waist, for example, and or the illusion of a waist, because many of us have lost it along the way. But also, belting is another great styling technique. So there's different ways that you can really dial up those kind of personalized elements. But I guess to your point, working for a big fashion e-com brand like the Iconic, which is phenomenal, there, I mean, there's 1,200 brands on site, so it really is around kind of you can curate and personalize what you want to see as well. And I know that what I do is when I see something, I choose my favorite brands, and then that always shows up for me, and then I'll put them on my wish list. So then I'm like, oh, okay, I've got this event coming up, and I remember seeing that, so I'll buy that. So it's kind of having the foundations, and then having those occasion wears, and understanding what suits you, and then kind of stepping into that, identity, and I guess that new sense of self comes along with that.
One of the fun things that you did, so on stage, for anyone who wasn't at the event, Claire was on stage with a rack of clothes, and she helped us understand the putting together of a capsule collection and going into spring, summer. And one of the things that I learned from your presentation and your advice was that we don't have to be slaves to a brand, we don't have to be slaves to a style. And each season is a real invitation to play with something that will push you a little bit outside of your kind of comfort zone and or your norm. And the things that I loved most in your presentation was your introduction of accessorization as a really soft way and quite frankly inexpensive way of updating a good wardrobe. I'm a collector of pieces. I buy good things less frequently, have them forever. I have things in my wardrobe from 20 years ago. I used to work for Gucci, so I have lots of Tom Ford for Gucci. They never look bad. They still look good. If you look after them, they look good every single time. But I love that you pointed us in the direction of the perfect cos t-shirt. And I bought it after you told me to. Sunglasses as a way to introduce color that you might not be ready to have a head to toe outfit in, or that amazing furler bag that one of my best friends went out and immediately bought in
Oh, the green
green.
one.
It was so gorgeous. It was so gorgeous. I coveted it. It was sitting on my mantelpiece. She came for dinner recently and I went, oh, what's that bag? And she goes, that was the one Claire talked about on stage. So I think women have that's a very natural female thing where, we get together, we talk about things that we like, but also permission granted to play a little bit. And I think that
Totally.
that's what you did in your presentation. So I'm wondering if you could, for anyone who's kind of tuning in now, you could maybe talk about some of the things that we can start playing with, some of the dials that we can spin and turn that are going to help us move into this season with a bit more confidence, as you said, and kick open the door to fashion.
Totally. Well, I think it's all about expression of self, and we have so we've got the capsule collection of what we wear, every day, and our white t-shirts, as you mentioned. But how can you really kind of push the boundaries and incorporate your personality? And that the easiest way is via accessories. And I just spoke about that before with the headscarf, but it's about those pieces, those handbags, and it doesn't matter what your budget is. You can go luxury, or you can go something that's not. It's just about what brings you joy, like what really taps into your soul and makes you feel happy. And so accessories, the green bag, I mean, we chose a green bag because it was fun, and now we're talking about it, and your friend had it on your mantelpiece. It's crazy. But it's also how you can lean into trends as well without going all the way. I think you would have seen this season the sunglass trends, for example. They're not the massive, big, oversized glasses. You can kind of tap into the trend by more of the slimline Ray-Ban styles, for example, or Prada styles, or even Le Specs.
Ready to meet your best self? FutureLab supplements available exclusively at Chemist Warehouse give your body what it needs to stay strong, radiant, and ageless. FutureLab's longevity trifecta, NAD+, berberine, and resveratrol work to support the hallmarks of aging from the inside out. The Oroton spa that you gifted all of our guests, I mean, that was wild,
We
wild. 170 guests received Oroton sunglasses. That was gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I mean, yeah, it's about just kind of leaning in and playing around with accessories, and that comes down to jewelry. It can come down to, well, as I mentioned before, a scarf, different ways of wearing a scarf, even to trenches or jackets that you just want to upstyle if you're going from the office, or lunch, or going home, whatever it might be. So it's about having those extra little pieces that you can put on and just kind of transform your outfit. And of course, that comes to beauty as well. And I am definitely not the beauty expert, but there's all these different ways that you can really express your personality and who you are and your sense of self.
When you put together the capsule wardrobe that you presented on stage, I can't remember, maybe you could tell us how many items are in like the base? And as a rule of thumb, what if I had a rack and I was starting from the beginning and I wanted to, really throw away the past and carve out a new version of myself? What are the key items that you think, what, if you start with these base as your base, anything is possible from there?
I think the foundations, look, it really depends on what your lifestyle is, but the foundations are a great pair of jeans, beautiful kind of selection of t-shirts. So as you mentioned, the cos ones are great. So white, black, and grey. Some really great blazers. I mean, it doesn't really change season to season. It might just change slightly in the
Which
shape.
is kind of the point of a capsule wardrobe, right? Like you don't
Exactly.
have to, you could even shop your own closet and then decide what's the one silhouette that you want to add that will modernize everything. And let me tell you, a lot of people my age are rejoicing about the skinny jean making a comeback. Like
Oh,
it never left my wardrobe. But it was fun because when you presented the suit, for example, that beautiful pistachio kind of like
oh,
Miller and Mark, and
yeah.
actually, one of my speakers, Dr. Shauna Watts, was wearing the suit. She was wearing it on stage. She looked gorgeous.
Well, that
But
was
that was
hilarious
fun.
because she literally told me, I saw her in the green room, and she said, I literally bought this from the Iconic last night. So I was like, there we go.
There you go. But it was so nice because when I saw that on the rack, I thought, oh, yes, okay, well, I could just play with the color because I've worn that shape suit before. But it wouldn't it be fun if I had it in color? And immediately I could see it on Shauna when she was on stage. It just looked gorgeous. It was so much more than a suit because it was green. So I got it. I totally understood what you were doing. But so we've got the t-shirts, we've got the jeans. My problem is probably too many of everything. And so that confusion when it
Yeah,
comes to
and that's where
dressing.
you have to. That's where you need to be a bit brutal. So at the beginning of every season, you do need to kind of go through your wardrobe, try them on, and if you are going to introduce something else into your wardrobe, get rid of what you're replacing it with. So, and that's the hard part. I mean, I'm moving house at the moment, and I'm doing that, and it is challenging. So many pieces you love. They are those pieces. There's also the trench coats, and I know that I had lots of people asking me about the trench coats after after the presentation. And then it's, beautiful shirts, but also suiting. What you're talking about is if you've got the basics, and this is something that goes across every single thing in the capsule wardrobe. If you love something, get it in a different color because it looks different, but it suits you and you love it. So, permission to express yourself and do something different in the parameters of what you like. So it doesn't have to be, rocket science. You're trying something crazy and out there. It's just kind of taking that step a bit further.
What was really interesting is that in the room we had guests who were from their mid-20s to their mid-70s. And the conversation that you were having was universal, and everyone felt you were speaking to them. And I think that was one of the most inclusive and inviting fashion conversations that I've ever borne witness to, because it can be a little bit you're in or you're out. You talk about body shape, you talk about age, you talk about style, you talk about budget. And I think that the engagement that you had from the audience was that literally every single person in the room got something out of it, and they felt like they were part of the conversation. And I'm wondering if you could also talk about whether we can develop, and I think we've talked about this before, having capsule wardrobes for specific occasions. So the capsule wardrobe you talked about and we're talking about now is your more general day-to-day life or even work life capsule wardrobe. But then you can also have like a holiday capsule wardrobe.
You totally can. Well, I might just go back one step. So your comment around fashion and everyone felt like I was talking to them. Fashion is not exclusive. We all fundamentally face the same challenges in fashion. So it's the same rule, and it doesn't matter, who you are. It all applies to each of us, and that's what I love. It's inclusive. It's great. And then in terms of capsule wardrobes and how we develop different capsules for different occasions, for example. Yes. And you alluded to my designer past, which I don't talk about that much, but I do have a fashion brand that I purely designed for the summer kind of holiday, hot weather, whether you be in Palm Beach or in Europe. And that was inspired by a trip to India. And I designed a whole lot of dresses in Indian cotton because it was so light and it lent itself to our climate really, really beautifully. And then that kind of took off on its own course when I came back to Australia and launched that. So yes, that is a bit of my side hustle, which I love. But
Great side hustle.
great side hustle, especially coming into summer. But also, if you are someone who goes to a lot of events, I mean, you think about what that capsule wardrobe might look like. And I can tell you right now, it is a beautiful black blazer. It might be a gorgeous clutch that you bring out each time, and then you can mix and match whether you're wearing a dress or a suit. That's what I'm loving about at the moment. You can really lean into that masculine tailoring for black tie. So it's almost about having this small capsule wardrobe that you can have for occasion wear too. And of course, the people who are going through that whole stage of life where it's a lot of weddings and baby showers and, those kind of celebrations, that's probably a whole nother capsule wardrobe that you could have.
One of the speakers that we had, and actually the iconic with the presenting partner for this section, was the color analysis expert. And I think that that was such a wonderful, wonderful segment of the day, in that she was able to help us. Jenny was able to teach us how to understand what suits us better, so that we've got our own kind of guidebook, a personalized guidebook when we're shopping, whether it's online or in store or in person. But most specifically, one of the tools of Studio Piona is that you become a gun at online shopping. Like, you really, really do. Your discernment is better. You know exactly what's going to work. You know what shade, you know what style in jewelry and accessories, in everything. And I'm wondering if you have any tips and shortcuts on nailing successful online shopping, if you want to kind of revisit your style ID.
Oh, that is a good question. I think the color expertise of Jenny was incredible. And I love that. Was actually, the color assessment was really big in the 80s. And I don't know if
It
it was the
was so
same.
big, Fernand Aubrey. I remember I
Oh,
trained in it. I know how to do it.
yeah. Oh, really? There you go. Well, I remember in Perth, the mums would all bring out kind of their color swatches, and this is what color I should get, and try it on when they're trying on a cardigan or whatever it might be.
I'm pretty
Um,
sure the Nutrimedics lady used to do it too for
oh,
us.
really?
Do you remember when she used to come round and do those makeup parties? I'm almost positive she color swatched us.
I don't think we had Nutrimedics in WA back then.
Well, they did, and it's
We were a bit behind
useful.
the time sometimes.
Why was it?
Not, but yeah, but how to fast track kind of success for online shopping? It really is about identifying what colors suit you. And I think at this stage of our life, we know fundamentally what colors work, but you can really tell. I mean, I think what was incredible about Jenny is that she had the overlays of all, like the cape with the different colors, and you could definitely see the model when her face would light up if it was a color that suited her, and then it was really dull. I mean, I know I have got a pink jumper I've had for years, and I absolutely love it. It's cashmere. It was a gift, and color-wise, it just doesn't suit me. It just breaks my heart that I can't wear it, but I need to part ways with it. It's just those tones. So you really need to nail down what the tones are, and then lean in. And yeah, I look at my wardrobe now, and as I said, I'm moving house, so I'm looking at all of the different kind of colors that I've got in my wardrobe, and they are pretty much the same. Like, they're the same. So I've got blocks of color because I know what suits me. And I think it's a great way, if people want to really understand what is their color match, that they should go and have a session. It's
But what about on the iconic? So I've had my color match. I'm I'm online shopping, because don't forget, like, for some people, online shopping is a sport, and it's a sport that they excel at and they enjoy. But for others, it's confounding. And it can be daunting. Like you said, 1,200 brands, thousands of products, different sizes. Some brands run teeny weeny. And so if you get, your normal size and it doesn't fit you, it's so depressing. And some brands run big, or, Do you have some rules of thumb that you can share with us so that, once we re-enter the fashion phase and we're excited to build our capsule wardrobes, is there anything that you always follow for yourself or you advise other people to when they are online shopping?
I think to start with is it's confidence. So if you know what brands suit you and you like, then they're the ones that you start with, and you can, the ranges that we have for each of the brands are extensive. So generally, if you're someone, we'll talk about Camilla and Mark again because that was a reference before. If you're someone and you know what size it is, then you can feel pretty confident that what you're ordering will be reflective of the Camilla and Mark size. So the general rule of thumb is that sizes are for brands, they're the same within that brand. They shouldn't vary too much unless there's been a mistake. So generally you should feel confident that what you're buying is the right size for you. But obviously we know that sizes change between different brands. So Country Road, for example, has different sizing to a Beckenbridge
That's it.
or
They were the exact two brands I was thinking of.
yeah.
They were the exact two brands I was thinking of. I've cried with some Beckenbridge deliveries. They've come in, they didn't fit, and I have cried.
I know, and that's why I tell everyone
If you're
just don't.
listening, Beckenbridge, please be kind.
But I that's what I tell, especially my teenage daughters. I'm like, don't look at the sizes. They're not like that. That doesn't define who you are. We all have beautiful bodies, and it's about making us look and feel the best that we can. And we're not going to try and fit into something that is not going to suit us, or if we can't do it up, that doesn't make us feel great, and we won't want to wear it, and we probably won't buy it again.
That is the wisdom of growing older. You do kind of go, okay, well, that doesn't work for me. Like you said with your pink jumper, it's not a blight on your complexion anymore. Whereas when you're younger, you kind of go, I can't believe I look so bad in that pink. Oh my God, everyone else looks beautiful in the pink jumper. I can't believe my skin is so bad and my hair doesn't work. Whereas now you just go, oh, that's not my pink. That's not my jumper.
Oh, I know, but
Next.
how
Lots of
empowering
therapy.
is exactly being this age where you don't need to worry about what anyone else is wearing. I mean, I remember when I was just out of school and you think back to going out with all of your girlfriends and you all wore exactly the same clothes, no matter
They do
what.
it now. I
Yeah,
know.
they
I
they
watched
do
Lily
now.
and that go through it.
Yeah. So it is pretty empowering to be this age and to go, oh, I feel confident in what I am wearing, and really leaning into what makes you feel good at the end of the day. That's all it is. And in terms of the tips and tricks with online shopping, it is about going in there and curating what those brands that you like are, and then reading the reviews and trying out different brands is something that you might see, because there's curated edits all the time as well. And I've actually there's a brand from Spain called Pull and Bear that I'd never really heard of before, and I was looking for the perfect kind of wide leg jean, and I think I've bought 3 pairs this season, and they didn't rock it for me. And then I just found this Pull and Bear pair, which I'd never brought before, and they were amazing. So I bought 3 pairs of them in different colors because I wear jeans pretty much every day with a blazer or whatever it might be. So it's just about finding what the brands are that you have confidence in, and then
Yeah.
slowly experimenting with new brands, and then also leaning into those brands that that you've always worn and loved, like the Country Roads or the you know Camilla and Marks.
And also the Beckham Bridge, because when you get the Beckham Bridge right, it's so perfect. I have at least 6 or 7 pieces from Beckham Bridge in my wardrobe, and it's for me that was a big shift because I used to always think that's a really young brand, but I'm small and
Yeah.
their clothes fit me well, and I feel youthful in them. So I'm really pleased I discovered them. I'm pleased that I didn't kind of go, that's not a brand for me.
But that's
And I
exactly what
think that part of
with
yeah, exactly what you were saying
is having the
is that,
confidence.
a little bit of bravery.
Yeah, and you know what you're going to get. So you have confidence in that brand because you've tested and trialed, and you know that it suits you and you feel good in them. So then you go back for more. And that's the same as online shopping, which a lot of people do feel nervous about doing, but it's testing and trialing. And I tell you what, it's a hell of a lot more convenient.
It is. I want to talk to you about the other thing that came up at the event, and that was sustainability, circular fashion, and our own footprint when it comes to fashion waste. And do you have some thoughts on that? Because I know that, in your Star by Yellow Button hat, you were really early to talk about sustainability,
I think
probably
circular
5 years before it was on the radar.
I think we're all responsible for the footprint that we leave at the end of the day. And we don't, we live in quite a materialistic kind of world. And it is about that conscious fashion, about making those conscious fashion choices, which is why we're talking about the capsule collections. It's not just kind of like, oh, we'll just get something every single week and use and abuse. So I guess that's one of the reasons what I a personal value of mine is being conscious about sustainability and working for a company that really does into that as well. So it's we're all responsible for playing our part.
Do you ever hire clothes? Are you part of the circular economy? Do you resell your clothes? Do you consign your clothes? I'm curious because I mean, obviously, you've had access to some of the best fashion for a really long time. I'm sure you've been gifted a lot. You've been at sample sales. You've been front row at shows and had the first dibs on lots of things. So, what do you do with that archive, with that plethora of stuff?
I think I mean, you mentioned it before. You have your pieces that you've had for a very, very long time, and it's those pieces that you hang on to that on a personal level, I mean, I do seem to accumulate a lot. I'm looking around me, I'm about all these boxes and things. But it is about circular fashion. It is about, I have consigned some pieces with different brands in Australia. I think I'm loving how there are so many options for us to do that now, and also shopping from these amazing businesses who have really lent into this circular fashion. There's a friend of mine has a company in Perth called Banjo Fashion, and they have been doing it for years. They basically have a warehouse, and all of their everyone in Perth goes and consigns their clothes, and literally it's almost like a swap meet. So they come and buy a wardrobe and also sell their wardrobe. It's fantastic. So I love that movement. I think it's really powerful, and I think people are shopping more considered now, but also leaning into what is needed. So it is each season, as you said before, it's the white t-shirts. So it's also going, okay, what don't I need anymore? Getting rid of those, or what still has kind of legs, and then consigning those, or gifting those to those less fortunate. There's also an amazing there's Thread Together, and that's an amazing charity that we work with as well. So it's just there's so many different options in terms of what you can do with your existing wardrobe that you no longer wear.
I think that was one of the fun things about the capsule wardrobe, the feedback that I had, is that a lot of people in the room went, "Oh, I've got that. I've got that." And they just didn't think to pull it out of their wardrobe and consider it as part of like a capsule wardrobe that they can go to on repeat. And I think that decluttering process almost made them fall in love with their own closet again. And then it gave them the bandwidth to go, okay, now I'm ready for discovery because I've got the basics sorted. I already have them. I'm going to, have little shots of excitement in maybe occasion wear, maybe accessories, maybe one great silhouette that's going to, bring me into the new season with confidence. But I think that decluttering conversation was really, really well received. We talked
There, there
about,
is there is actually a really fun little tip that I can tell you about decluttering, because
yes,
everyone
Celine's.
when I had I was doing yellow button all the time. Our stylist, we would basically go into do a personal styling session, and women would say, "Well, I don't know what I should, if I've worn it or if I haven't." So the trick is, you turn your coat hangers, so the coat hangers hook like that. So turn every single coat hanger around that way. You haven't worn those pieces. So every time you wear one of your pieces, then you put it back in your wardrobe like that. And by the end of 3 months, anything that's still that way, you need to get rid of. It's brutal,
Oh, that's so brutal. I've
so
got
brutal,
anxiety thinking about that.
so brutal.
I
But
have so many, many clothes.
exactly. But also then you've got pieces that you want to keep for Lily to hand down, and there are exclusions. You can
I
stretch.
know. One of the guests that was at the event was Tanya Pirelli, and she has an amazing luxury hire business called Fashion Ultimoda that I've worked with before and I've used before. And she has exquisite occasion wear. We're talking Oscar de la Renta, Valentino, Chanel,
It's
Dior,
incredible.
and it was so. When I first met her, I was really not sure if I could get into it. I thought, oh my God, I don't know if I could wear something someone else has worn. What if I spilled something on it? But once you kind of make that cross over the bridge, you become part of this like secret society of women who have discovered, luxury hire. And I went to a wedding on the weekend, and there were two of the guests who I know really well and love, who were beautiful, stylish women, both wearing standout dresses, standout. Like they were definitely best in show. And both of them had hired from Fashion Ultimoda, and they really were the best dressed women on the ground. And it was just a really good reminder of, occasion dressing lends itself to a bit of bravery, whether it's the style that you choose, whether it's where you source the item from, the color that you go with. But it was just, yeah, it was really funny because all of these things are good academically, but when you see it in the wild, it
Oh,
really makes sense.
completely. And I think Tanya has got an incredible business. And I also love that, they're luxury. And you can actually go and try them on and she styles
She
them
has a
in
styling
herself.
service, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you have that access. And I mean, luxury evening wear, it's a big investment and it's not like you can wheel the same one out all the time, is it? So it makes a lot of sense. And her
Definitely.
curation is exquisite. It really is.
I want to bring it back to, the concept of the event and what we talked about. And the key word for me for the day and for the theme and now the rebrand of the website and the entire platform is Ageless Radiance Club. And those three words are super intentional. So, obviously ageless means lots of things, but the radiance part was really key to me because there's lots of people who I meet and you meet and celebrities and opinion leaders and influencers who are beautiful. They're good looking people. They are the beautiful people. But to me, beauty and radiance are two separate things. And you can't be radiant unless it's an inside job. Radiance is like this otherworldly glow that emanates from the inside out. And I really want to explore that in whatever format that it comes in. And I'm wondering if you could share with us your thoughts on how fashion can contribute to our radiance.
That's really easy. It comes down to confidence. Fashion is a tool, it's a lever that you can, you know, you get out of the shower one day and you can either put on your pajamas or you can put off you can put on a power suit. I mean, like what is the purpose of your day and how can you dress for it? And it could be, I remember the other day I was picking up my daughter. She was studying, she's got her HSC at the moment. And I'd come home and I'd put my tracksuit pants on. And she's like, wow, you look a bit different than you did this morning when you were going to work. It's not very nice. But I mean, the reality is like your perception from what you look like on the outside, and radiance is not about what you are wearing. It is about how you're feeling. So when I left in the morning and I was dressed for work, yeah, I was feeling radiant because I was going to work and feeling confident in what I was wearing and had a purpose for the day. And then I guess obviously I wasn't looking that radiant at night.
I think what you're saying is really nice, and it touches on the other topic that was big on the day. And Alexandra Smart, who's a former co-designer of Ginger and Smart and co-founder of that beautiful fashion business, she was talking about archetypes and how women can use clothing and this terminology that she used, enclothed cognition, to turn up as an archetype, as a version of themselves. And what you're saying is exactly that. That when you get ready for work, if you're going to do a big pitch, or if you're at an event, or you're speaking, or receiving an award, a different archetype gets dressed and ready and out the door. And then when you're mum and you're want to watch 3 shows on Netflix and have a TV dinner. She's in her tracksuit and she wants to be, and she doesn't want to be, the other archetype. And I think that aspect of fashion is really exciting and interesting. Beware anyone who gets stuck in one of the archetypes, because you don't want to be stuck being, business diva or party princess,
Oh,
or you don't want to be stuck in any one of them. You want to kind of be fluid and use fashion as that opportunity to kind of move through all the different versions of yourself.
exactly. I mean, as I said before, it's an expression of self. And as we come in, it's getting warmer now, and we're coming into summer, and it is about experimenting too. Like, don't be shy. If you see something, we talk about archetypes. It doesn't mean that we're trapped in that one archetype. So if you see someone that you think, wow, they've got amazing style, then try it on for yourself. I mean, I think, as I said before, traveling and really I love just watching people. And I think that's one of the reasons that I started my business way back when. It was really to empower women who were going through what I had been through at that stage, which was, I had young children, and it was kind of finding my identity again, and feeling confident. And that's the reason why ultimately it's because fashion plays such a part in doing that.
I think the thing that I would like to end on, which, if I could share my advice with anyone who's listening, is that I think online fashion opens up a unique opportunity, like you just said, try it on. And if you like someone else's style, there is nothing more incognito and private than ordering something online, having it come home, trying it on, and seeing if you like that archetype, if that costume, that outfit, that skirt, that jacket, if it works in your environment, if it works with your shoes, with your hair, with your makeup. And I think that, removing that horrific experience in the change rooms, and, that sometimes self-conscious experience in stores, that's one of the fun
Yeah.
upsides of being able to order and return things online. So I would definitely say, you know, have a play around with brands that you wouldn't have otherwise considered suitable for yourself. That's paid off for me big time. And secondly, try it on. If you like
Yeah.
someone else's style and you know what they're wearing, order it in and try it on.
100%. And I think what a lot of people don't realize, and what I didn't realize before I started working at the Iconic, is there are so many people who work in that business that are experts in what they do. And when you look online, there are, kind of outfits curated, there's full fashion shoots, the creative and styling teams are phenomenal. We've got Nicole Adolph, who, she's been editor of Cosmo and Cleo back in the days. We have experts in the business who are curating almost like this digital magazine within the business. So if you see outfits that you like, you can just literally shop and buy those outfits. So that's, I guess, a simple way of shopping and trying something new. Easy.
Well, that was a great conversation. Thank you so much, my darling. I could speak to you for hours. Just to wrap up, are there two things that are for spring, summer? So this is going to come out in, say, November. We're listening to this episode. If there were two little things, whether it's colors or shapes or something that would really take us through to, say, next autumn, what would they be?
I would definitely say the Bermuda short is having a moment, and that can come in all different colors and textures. So you can go like a denim style. And when I'm talking about Bermuda short, it's like that longer style short down to just above the knee. Or you could go linen and have it tailored. So that's definitely a key piece for
Are there
this.
any brands that you recommend that are doing it, in a grown-up, beautiful, elegant way,
Yeah, well,
or
if you
just a
haven't
fun way?
tried, yeah, there's Sportscraft, there's Country Road, there's Cos. If you put in Bermuda short, like hundreds will come up. And then I think you just can't go wrong with a trench coat. And a trench coat is the foundation piece that everyone should have in their wardrobe. And it just is a multi-purpose piece that will take you through to autumn. It's a great layering piece for whether it's over activewear or whether it's going out for dinner or lunch, and even layering as it gets cooler over a jumper and jeans as well. So that's probably your most versatile piece, I'd say.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Bahar.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the channel, sign up for our free newsletter, and consider leaving a review and rating it. This really helps the channel grow and reach new audiences.